That was horrible pain to the extent in my mind I'm like, I'd rather die than do this. Hey, I'm Chaitali. I'm from Mumbai, and I have two kids. One is 4 year old, one is 9 month old, and we have a advertising business based out of Mumbai. And I live with my family and in-laws. So in my first pregnancy, it was I started off with having severe migraine issues to the extent that I did not know, why it's happening. And migraine is also something, we figured out like the end of, 6 months. And that time, I kept visiting different doctors. They kept giving me medicines to try. I tried different treatment, but nothing seemed to be solving my issue. So 6 months of severe migraine, and what that did was I was completely bedridden, because when you have that kind of headache throughout the day, it's difficult to function, right? You are not able to do your day to day. So of course I could not go to office also. I just felt like being on the bed. I was just lazy. In fact, I was someone who was extremely active and has always been, like, before pregnancy. For the longest 15, 20 years, I've already worked out every day of my life. And despite that, here in pregnancy, I just felt so vulnerable to towards my health that I didn't know there was no solution in front of me. So it was very, very bad. And what that did is I could not enjoy my pregnancy, because pregnancy is such a happy time. I didn't enjoy the process at all. And yeah, by the end of it, it was extremely exhausting. I was just constantly on bed. I was lazy. I didn't feel like doing anything. So it was not a pleasurable experience at all. Uh, Coming to delivery, again, it was not a very good experience, because the doctors told me that, so I wanted a normal delivery. Normal delivery is no C-section. That was my idea of, normal delivery. It was a normal delivery, but I was given everything. Like, there was baby monitoring that was happening constantly. I was on IV. I was bedridden on that bed, on the hospital bed. And I really wanted to move around, because I was in such severe pain once my contraction started. And but I was not allowed to do anything. And they gave, so the baby's actually stool, it's called meconium, it came out. And then the doctors told me that the baby needs to come out as soon as possible, otherwise we'll have to go for C-section, and it's not good. And they gave me the injection to speeden up the delivery process, and what that did is it really increased the pain, because something if supposed to happen in the next, let's say, 24 hours, if my labor had to last for that long, it was cut short to 4 hours. So the baby had to come out, like, that fast, and for that to happen, obviously, I had to go through a lot of pain. That was horrible pain to the extent in my mind I'm like, I'd rather die than do this. That was the experience, unfortunately. Yeah, that's about it. I mean, and post that, definitely, I mean, another pregnancy was a no. Another child was because of the kind of experience I had and the health issues that I had. After pregnancy, it was not good at all. The baby used to just, keep crying all night. I've had very bad sleepless nights. Um, there's something called postpartum depression, which a lot of ladies today go through. So that is also something that I went through, completely unaware why it happens, what it happens. But again, that was normalized. Sabko hota hai. When I spoke to mothers, they are like they have been through similar situations. So I wasn't going through something abnormal. I was always a relatively healthy person, a healthy eating person, like not just vegan, but brown rice, whole foods. Read a lot. I used to keep experimenting, but when I came across the Satvic Movement Ultimate Health Challenge, I tried it for 21 days. And the kind of things that I learned, the concept of toxins, I was introduced to for the first time in the 21-day health challenge, where everything that our body goes through is because of the toxins inside us. There are, of course, uncontrollable aspects of toxins which comes from environment, pollution, etc. But there is a big factor where you can control it, which is your food. And when I realized, the toxins are actually coming from the day-to-day food that we are having, that was a big turning point in my life. And we started the detox process. Obviously, I could not go through complete detox. I mean, there are juice fasts, etc. But we used to start our day with juices, and we used to have only fruits till lunch. And lunch and dinner, we used to have like a Satvic, oil-free meal. We had started taking these baby steps for like 6 months to 8 months after the Ultimate Health Challenge, and we started noticing that a lot of changes in our body. And I used to actually try a lot of recipes from Sattvic movement, and I used to follow them through the recipes. And that's when I thought, let me just do that, because that didn't just cover the food aspect; it covered like 7 habits of overall life. So then I understood the concept of even sunbathing, or you know even surrendering. The concept of surrender is something that I used a lot in my second pregnancy. Like, in front of my so normally the delivery happens in operation theater, but mine happened in a room, in the hospital room. And I decorated to an hour before, I decorated my entire room with fairy lights. I put placards which said surrender. So I did all of that because I understand that the baby will decide when it wants to come out, and I just have to surrender to the divine. So that is also a concept that I came across in UHC. Oh, I used to, every day after the session, I used to give lowdown to my husband, my in-laws, and my friend, Prerna. So I used to literally 1 hour after the session, I used to give a download to everyone, because for me those knowledge was really really new. And my husband and I started used to make those changes like right then and there. Every single day we used to make those changes in our lives. Yeah, like I remember the first day of Ultimate Health Challenge, where they ask a few questions where we have to understand what is a health score, and I wanted to do it with everyone in my house. So yeah, I did that. Health, like same juicing first thing in the morning, having a lot of fruits and raw food, ensuring your food is whole foods, like no refined, no oil. Of course, it didn't happen overnight. I There was, like I said, there were baby steps that I followed. This lifestyle I carried out in my conception phase also. Like a few months before I decided to get pregnant again. I came across that everything that I faced in the first pregnancy is not normal, and my experience could have been very very different, and it should have been different. And when I got to know that, I really felt like changing those things in my life, and I continued to live the Sattvic movement. And in fact, I went a step beyond. I started embracing raw lifestyle as well. Not 100%, but like 70% of my life was where I ate only raw foods, a lot of fruits in that. And of course sunbathing, grounding, wet pack, all those was a big part of my life. After that, because when if you're giving birth to a baby, you have to first fix your own health. There's a very interesting quote that I tell everyone, is that heal before you have a child, so that your child does not have to heal from having you as a parent. So I understood the idea of healing. So I wanted to heal before conception. I took that time out. I followed not just the Sattvic lifestyle, I went a step ahead and I did majorly 70% raw food diet. My pregnancy diet was also the same, 70% raw foods. As people are surprised कि pregnancy में diet अलग होना चाहिए, but nahi. I mean, you have to just believe what is meant for your body and what is you're meant to eat. And I just followed the same lifestyle, and it was a beautiful experience. Um, I mean, I didn't feel like a patient unlike the first time. I was going to office every day. I was very active with my toddler, who is, in a very active phase. Yeah, it was beautiful. I did not take medicines. There were no supplements. Yeah, it felt like a pregnancy that I could enjoy. Yeah, and unlike the first time where I had gained 30 kgs, it was very different this time. No fats. And I always wanted, when I read about this, I always wanted a medical free natural water birth. Medical free, why? Because a lot of things that happens in the delivery room is also not very natural. Like in terms of you, so how will the baby come out? The concept of gravity, right? So you have to squat, but you're lying down. The doctors tell you to lie down. That is against the gravity. So the whole concept of squatting and giving birth or moving around, if you feel like you, it was like I was in charge of my body, and I knew it was like I was coordinating with my baby when you have to come out. It is like that. If I feel like moving, I feel like moving. Why can't I move? Right? So whether it is moving about, whether it is um, there were no injection, no IV, no IV. What is IV? Is given for energy, so that so that the mother doesn't feel whatever nauseatic. But why? When you've eaten the right food, when you've given all the right fuel, the body will you know uh, have that energy to do what it is supposed to during delivery. So I had a beautiful water birth. My daughter came out in water, and she was with me. Yeah, she was with me. The milk came out naturally, no formula. I'm still breastfeeding. She's 9 months. She's still on 70% breastfeeding or 80% breastfeeding for that matter. And I'm still on the same diet, full day fruits and one wholesome plant based Satvic meal. Yeah, I don't think this lifestyle can change, because if this is how you're supposed to live naturally, so whether you're pregnant, not pregnant, breastfeeding, not breastfeeding, it should remain the same. Empowering. It feels, I want to go and tell the world, shout and tell the world that there is a different way of living that we all don't know. We are so conditioned today and growing up on several things, and we really need to unlearn and relearn. So I just want to share this knowledge with the world and tell them about my story.